very talkative and shy, a double-edged sword. 50-50 in honor of the Porsche 911.
Okay, so finally we're all set up. So, who do we have here?
Hi everyone, my name is Shaila Villa Gonzalo. I am a first-year psychology student at the prestigious CIT University, which is just nearby.
CIT, that's
Yes.
Cebu
Institute of Technology.
Institute of Technology. Wow. All right. Very good. Psychology.
Yes, I
So I
study.
have to be careful what I say to you.
No, I'm not the classic, what do you call this? I'm not the type that would say, I'm going to study everyone's body language. I would pretty much rather just observe it as a way of more like I'm being your friend.
Okay. So psychology, is that clinical or what's the other one? Industrial maybe, huh?
Industrial, there are many aspects behind it. Some would go for the classic clinical, some would pursue the psychometricians. But on my case, since I'm in my first year of my psychology program, I am still focusing more on the theories like Sigmund Freud, like Pavel. There are many things. Sadly, I cannot remember every single name.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same, which is going to be an embarrassment if someone's going to see this video. But
No worry. Well, you've mentioned a lot of names that are familiar there. I
but
don't know the whole stories. You probably know. Is Pavel the guy with the dog?
yeah, the Pavel's dog, yes.
Pavel's dog. What's Pavel's dog again? Remind me. What's that?
Pavel's dog is basically where a sensory, basically a reward basis on the reward aspect. So when we're doing a reward system, if a bell rings and there is no food, then the dog will not salivate. If there is a food placed along with the bell, then the dog will basically salivate, as I recall.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. So the dog learns to associate food with the bell.
Yes, and
Of course, if there's food on the way.
then there's B.F. Skinner, which a more controversial figure because his studies are mostly focusing on men rather than women. We are welcoming an era where we are gradually studying both men and women in the clinical psychology area and along with the diagnosis of the mental health.
Okay, very good. So getting back to the salivating, that'd be like we go into the coffee shop here and see some chocolate cake and we start
Chocolate cakes
salivating.
like matcha, which is my favorite actually.
But you didn't have matcha today. What did you have here today?
It's just matcha.
Oh, it is matcha. Oh, okay, very good. Okay, so you're first year psychology
Yes, I'm
student.
a first year psychology
at
student.
CIT, yeah. And where did you grow up?
I grew up in the Philippines, like Cebu, like the capital. It's like Cebu City.
City. So you're a city girl,
I'm a city girl.
not a province girl.
I tried going to the province at some point, but I just realized, no one understands me because I grew up speaking English as my primary language.
Oh, hence the very good English.
Yes,
you speak.
and my family majority of my family were OFWs. Like my relatives, for example, were OFWs, and then when they came back home
Whereabouts?
when they came back home, they had families of the countries that they decided to migrate to.
So what countries were they in? Different countries or same?
One of them was in Canada, the other was in the US, Australia, who is my first cousin actually, currently living here in the Philippines. Then my Dutch grandfather and Dutch grandfather.
Oh my God, you're all
and
over the
then
place. Yeah.
and then my grandma from my mom's side, basically, or like my grandma's sister.
So are all these people living abroad now? Or
Yes,
did they
they're living
return
abroad.
To the Philippines? They're all like
One of them,
permanent OFWs.
permanent. Like they basically just became citizens at some
they
point
become citizens of their
of the respective countries.
OFW countries.
Yeah.
I got you.
I'm also planning to do the same
Yeah.
because
You want to be an OFW also?
not an OFW necessarily. Maybe migrate to the country elsewhere because I think
Immigrate to what's your first choice?
my first choice would have to be Europe.
Europe.
I
yeah.
love Europe so much.
Any particular country?
But I already mentioned it. I really love the Netherlands.
Oh, you said
The
that.
Netherlands
Yeah.
and Norway would be a great option because looking at
Oh.
Norway, I love their parental rights there. You can file for maternity and paternity leave, which is a great thing. and it's paid for like
Yeah.
the longest while,
Yeah.
which is a great thing.
You know, I worked for a Norwegian company for 6
Yeah.
years, and yeah,
I actually want
they're
to.
very generous.
They're very generous with that. And then for the Netherlands, what I recall is that one of my good friends was telling me that the healthcare there is like universal. I'm not certain if it's true, but he was also a immigrant as well from Egypt.
Yeah, in general in Europe, I believe
Yeah,
the
so
healthcare
Europe is
pretty
very.
good. Compared to the US, where good healthcare is available, but it's very expensive.
It's very expensive, and at the same time, I am told this is very like also a Filipino mindset with the Americans. I agree. What I seem to notice that calling the ambulance is such a big no-no because I'm pretty certain like the bill itself would rise to $5,000 max.
In the US.
Yeah, which
it
is
can
like
be very
in
expensive.
here in the Philippines, the equivalent of that is basically your living expense here.
Yeah.
If you rent, then
Yeah.
good rent here is difficult to find, along with a good job because there's a noticeable brain drain around here, and a lot of the of Gen Z would pretty much rather go elsewhere than stay here.
So all the people in your situation, you know, the smart college students,
Yeah, the smart
most of them are thinking of going abroad somewhere, would you say?
I'm pretty certain they would. Maybe they don't completely state it out in front of their parents, thinking it might not be. It might because the Philippines is quite of a country where this is an observation, and I'm pretty certain a lot of what do you call this? A lot of articles would, well, whether it be in the U.S., Europe, there is a noticeable toxic dynamic between Filipino families. It's even mentioned in my psychology program, in my one of my psychology courses, where the family dynamic can be imbalanced because
In the Philippines?
yeah, in the Philippines, it's very common to hear the eldest child. The eldest child normally would be the one to shoulder the majority of the expenses. Like, if I had a younger sibling and I'm the older sibling, I would have basically been the one to pay for their education, even though I'm struggling myself.
I've kind of seen that in practice a little bit.
Yeah.
And yet sometimes I hear the opposite, that the youngest actually feels that burden that she
Yeah.
or he must.
If they,
So I'm confused actually on that. So you're saying it's the eldest
yeah, it's the
has
eldest.
the primary responsibility
Yeah,
for
has the
looking after the
primary.
family?
Yes, the eldest child. Like basically, we call them as the breadwinner. It's very common. I mean, you've heard the term breadwinner before, and when
So where do you come in your family now?
I come in a family, thankfully, my family is very open-minded. We basically adopted like a Western point of view. I am not the one shouldering the majority of the expenses. I'm only working part-time to gain an education, to pay for my tuition fees.
Are you the oldest?
No, I'm an only child. But
You're
yes,
only child. So
yeah,
you are the oldest.
I'm the oldest
Are
and
you
the
the
only.
youngest? Yes, you're the youngest.
I'm the sole survivor of the race.
Ah, you're going to
The
carry the name on. Yeah. So
I'm just-
if you ever get married, you're going to keep your name then, so the name doesn't disappear. Is that it?
In my family, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm pretty certain there would be someone would gain my last name.
There will be some others.
I mean,
okay.
it's another topic for another day. I'm still, I don't feel like an adult. I feel like a teenager.
Oh, really?
I'm only
Okay.
I'm only 22, but then at the same time,
Oh,
I
you
feel
are
like
20. That was my next question. I hadn't asked you your age.
yeah.
If you're willing to say. You're 22.
I am 22
That's a
years
good
old,
age.
and
And you're in first year.
yes, first year.
So is that young to be in first year? Or is that
No,
normal age?
actually, depending on the financial situation, some would say that 22 is a bit old, like it's a bit older, but then the reason why I'm in the first year currently at the age of 22 is because the pandemic basically was not the best course of action to pursue
Yeah.
an education.
Well, that's screwed with a lot of people, right?
It screwed up a lot of people, which is not the best idea. I know that a lot of people would say maybe you should have just persisted during the online classes, but at the same time, it's such a discriminatory thing to do because not everyone can afford the the expense to pay for a Wi-Fi. We're looking for a good Wi-Fi or mobile data,
Right.
which are very
something-
common here in the
Yeah,
Philippines.
that's something in the West everyone takes Wi-Fi pretty much for granted, but
Yeah.
here it's an expense which not everyone
Yeah,
can
and
afford.
I think a lot of people would say it's a luxury actually.
Yeah,
A lot of
but-
people would say it's a luxury.
On the other hand, I will see data here is very inexpensive.
Yeah, it's very expensive because
No, inexpensive, I say. Data, right?
yeah, like
And
the
it can
cheapest
buy
one
8
is
gigabytes for 100 pesos, which is $2
yeah, $2
for
and
a week.
yeah, because currently I normally use data for like when I'm outside of my house because like I said, I'm very grateful that my family can afford like to pay the Wi-Fi like monthly, and I can also afford to get data when I'm not at my house. And another thing is that I think prior to like the inflation, there was one, if I recall, it was also only 50 pesos to get like a 3-day data max,
Right.
which is only around 2 gigabytes, I recall.
Yeah.
50 pesos. Now it's increased to 60, but it's still the same as 3 days. Then there's another one which would be 100 pesos for 1 week's worth of data is around, how much is that in your
Well,
currency?
that's $2, but that's pretty much what I do every month. That's why every week. That's why I'm saying data is kind of inexpensive.
Yeah, exactly. But
I can buy 8 gigabytes of data for 99 pesos,
yeah,
and I could actually buy 16 gigabytes of data
the,
for
like
99 pesos.
Yeah, which is
and it's
a-
valid for 7 days.
it's valid for 7 days, and you can even use it anywhere, even though the connection here can be bad. Like,
Yeah.
it's no joke if you're living in the Philippines. Like, some areas of the country would basically just not have any access to signals. Mountain areas are, for example, is very common, but if you're willing to travel to a area which the signal is much more accessible, it would be much better. But
Slight aside, but have you heard of Starlink?
Starling? No, actually.
Elon Musk. You heard of Elon Musk?
Oh yes, I have heard of
So
Elon.
Elon Musk started this company, and he has sent up lots of satellites, and so now he's got this product which is known as Starling, where basically you can get a dish, set it up pretty much, I think at this point almost anywhere in the world,
Yeah, anywhere in the world.
and you can get internet, fast internet. It's expensive. That's the downside,
That's the downside
but
of
it
it.
works.
It
Yeah.
works, but
but it's expensive.
it's in the country here. Sadly, you can't always get everything what you want.
Yeah, I know expensive
The
is the issue, really, right?
the thing, if I were honest, like there would be a side of me that would I basically want to get everything, like a new phone every year, new pair of shoes, new pair of clothes. But then I have to basically think about can this amount really can cover my next month of schooling,
Yeah.
the food I need, the miscellaneous
Right.
items like my load, like
You-
my mobile data and stuff like that.
You have to look at the necessities rather
Yeah,
than
so-
looking at luxuries. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
No.
not everyone can also afford like good health care as well.
Oh,
Which is
yeah.
also a bad thing because it's like if you hear someone they have to go to the hospital, you have to be dying to go to the hospital, which is a sad thing
Because of
to
the
do.
cost,
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess some people do die because they can't
Yeah.
go to the hospital.
Even the
which is
most
very sad.
minor, let's say like a minor, let's say it started off as a minor cut, that would be your death sentence if it gets infected. So maybe you can get an area where it's where you can get it for free, but at the same time, it's not going to be very adequate, especially at the mountainous areas of the
Yeah.
country. If I recall,
You know, I met this guy in Dumaguete back in, I think it was April. He had an accident with his arm,
yeah,
and he was a foreigner, Australian guy, but he didn't have the money to go to a good hospital at the time. So he went to some witch doctor up
oh,
the
like
mountains.
I think that's
they-
called an albulario. Yeah, we called it an albulario,
Albulario, okay. And they put this bark,
like a tree bark.
tree bark. Does that sound familiar to you?
Oh yeah,
They
that's
put
a great.
bark on his arm.
Yeah, it's like
And-
to basically magically heal the infected wound, but
Yeah. So do you think it worked? What's your guess?
in scientifically speaking, scientifically and medically speaking, I'm pretty certain it doesn't work.
Yeah, no, it didn't work for him. He ended up having to. Eventually, he got good care, and I think.
But it's like that's the bad thing of it because a lot of people would basically turn to alternative means.
Yeah.
Some of them
Got it.
aren't very good. For others, it basically detriments them, which is a sad thing because looking at the other countries, like specifically in Europe, because it's much more open-minded there, the only reason why I would want to move there someday is because at least if my hypothetical family would at least get like a good chance of living and healthcare as well.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the only thing.
So, getting back to Europe, do you? I'm guessing the answer to this is no, but do you watch Formula One motor racing?
Oh man, my boyfriend loves them, and I also watch them from
Do you
time to
watch
time.
Formula One?
Currently, I'm not really as what do you call this? I'm not really as updated because of my recent obligations at school, work.
Yeah, yeah.
Then I had to recover from my own little health minor issues because I'm suffering allergies right now, so that's why I sound nasally.
Oh, okay.
And
well,
I love
not so noticeable, but
I love a good Formula One race.
yeah, yeah.
It's just
So you
fun.
know who Max Verstappen is?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, he's probably the most famous Dutchman in the world right now. You know?
Exactly. Then there's Kimi Raikkonen, Sebastian Vettel.
Oh, that's very impressive. I think you're the first Filipino I've come across who, maybe the second. Actually, no, the first who knows all these names.
Yeah, and then
Well, Kimi is now retired, and Sebastian is
Carlos.
also retired.
Yeah, and then
Carlos Sainz?
Yeah, Carlos Sainz.
Oh, yeah. He's
I mean-
just lost his drive with Ferrari.
Yeah, which is kind of sad, but you know,
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm
if
actually
he's still
sad for him.
pursuing, I think a lot of other race companies, like Formula One races, would be good because
You're up on this, you know.
I'm really
yeah,
up
he's a
on
good
this because-
driver, so he's going to find another drive elsewhere. for
I'm
sure.
pretty certain because that guy's good, along with
I
Max
agree.
Verstappen.
He's the only person apart from Red Bull who won a race last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Charles Leclerc. Is that how you pronounce his name? Charles Leclerc.
Oh, Charles Leclerc, yeah.
Yeah, Charles Leclerc.
He's
Is
from
he-
Monaco. He
Yeah,
drives for Ferrari.
he's still driving, right?
He's still driving. He's basically the Ferrari number one.
Yeah.
And Carlos is, well, they're kind of equal, but Carlos has been dropped in 2025.
Oh,
They're
like
keeping Leclerc, but they've taken on Hamilton for 2025.
so Hamilton basically switched sides, no?
Hamilton has announced that he's moving from Mercedes, where he's been for
Driving
seems like
for
forever,
forever. Like
to
that.
Ferrari, but not until 2025. So this season 2024, which is about to start, is going to be a little awkward because Hamilton already knows he's leaving at the end of this season. Carlos Sainz already knows he's leaving Ferrari at the end of this season.
It's
because
like
they're kicking him out. And so it'll be interesting to watch.
It's like having to know that you lost your job, you're getting laid off in the next week, and then the person you thought wouldn't be hired is now right in front of you. Your replacement.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of weird.
Exactly, yeah, yeah. No,
But
so,
anyway,
yeah.
it's just
I'm very happy I
hopefully-
found someone who likes Formula One in the Philippines.
hopefully it wouldn't be an awkward scenario. I mean, if my boyfriend was here, he would be gushing over it.
Ah,
Like my boyfriend's a
where's your
huge.
boyfriend from?
My boyfriend's from just the Philippines as well.
Philippines, yeah, but he likes Formula One.
He likes Formula One. He loves races. Like he loves races in general. He would show me like each time he even tried to drive me to school. Like he
Wow.
drove me to school and to work at some
So-
point.
So you've just touched on another subject, which I haven't touched, but
Yeah.
now that you've mentioned it,
I'm always
obviously-
opening new topics.
Obviously, you have a boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was going to be my question later, but yeah. So yeah. So how long have you known each other?
I
Or how long have you
started.
been together?
I was friends with him for a good. I met him through by chance because
Yeah.
he and my circle, like his friend circle and my friend circle would basically mingle with one another like all the time.
Uh-huh.
They love cosplays, like
Love what?
cosplaying,
How?
cosplaying.
Cosplay?
Yeah, like
Must be my ear. Say
Like-
it again.
cosplaying. You know, like
Cosplay.
cosplays, like dressing up as their favorite anime characters.
Oh my God! Yeah, that's a whole world that's not
Yeah.
familiar with me.
Yeah, and it's very
Cosplay.
popular. And
So your
in my
boyfriend does this.
he doesn't do cosplays in general, but he just happens to, he's a very, what do you call this?
What?
This is what happens if you're thinking in two different languages.
Why do I think that's more of a female thing, or do guys do that too? Or
Like I'm pretty certain it depends on the person.
yeah,
Like-
yeah. So it's
I'm currently running on 5 hours of sleep, which is very obvious, but you know, the things you do to
That's why
survive.
you're a little delirious today.
Not really delirious. It's more of I think in two different languages. And I have to translate them. So back to
English
that.
and Visayan?
Yeah, English and Bisaya. My Bisaya is not really, it's not as deep rooted compared to my English because I can know the slang, the pronunciations, the alternative spellings of all, like the dialects included. So back to my boyfriend. He doesn't do cosplays, but he's a sociable guy. He's a social butterfly, even though and
so he has lots of friends.
he has lots of friends. He seems to I admire him for being able to just hang out with a lot of people, bring a lot of smiles, and then compared to me, I'm quite of an introvert. Like maybe after a long day of work, I'm pretty much hiding in my room.
Well, if you're tired, that's okay.
That's
We
when
all
you're pretty-
need alone time.
Alone
sometime,
time,
right?
and when you need a lot of alone time, you also need to recharge. You have to recharge the social battery, and I have to learn to navigate throughout that because at some point I also wanted to have many friends, but I'm also quite introverted, so any social gathering would scare me at some point.
I don't know. You were very open to chatting when we met.
Yeah, it's
and it was just a chance meeting at the
it's
coffee
also-
shop where you're working, right?
Yeah, it's a chance meeting, and usually if I have an opening topic, I would basically not stop talking.
Yeah.
Like the opening topic, if I remember, was about the canine.
The dog. Yeah.
Yeah, I love
I'm going to
dogs.
include a little shot of that dog in this video.
Yeah,
but-
I remember I remember you at the coffee shop and you were just you stepped out and you took a shot of brownies. That's the canine dog's name. And then I was having just happily petting her.
Yeah.
And it seems like I was in my own little world because at least I get to pet dogs.
Yeah.
One perk of working here in Ayala, especially if you're in a cafe scenario where a lot of foreigners are coming in and out. Service dog, not service dogs, but rather sniffing dogs or canines would be frequent around the area.
Yeah.
My favorite one has to be brownies.
Brownie. Okay. That was
Brownies, it's
Brownies.
Brownie,
His
yeah.
name is Brownie.
Her.
Not Brownie.
Yeah,
Or
not
her.
brownie. It's her name is Brownies.
Brownies. Oh, okay. Cool. So if you could live anywhere in Cebu, where would you live?
Man, I always love the capital itself.
Yeah.
I
And in Cebu City. Okay.
Yeah,
So where
this-
in Cebu City would you live if you could choose?
I think in the areas where I'm pretty much a person who would prefer to live in a more quieter neighborhood.
Oh yeah.
When you're in the
You don't like karaoke?
Man, I'm not good at I know there's a stereotype. It's not really a stereotype because it's a true thing.
Yeah.
Like when Filipinos are good at karaoke. Like no joke. They can even in
Some Filipinos.
some Filipinos,
I
but
have a problem with a new condo I've just moved into where there's karaoke in the middle of the, well, not just the middle of the, well, yeah, the middle of the night, 2 a.m. in the morning.
yeah, 2 a.m.
And they're not good. That's the problem. But I think
Maybe
it's because
they're
the wind is carrying it up, and it's like the
Yeah.
frequency is changing on
Yeah,
its
and
way
it's
up. or something.
I'm pretty certain they're also drunk. Because it's
Ah.
very common. If you hear someone belting and it's off key, I'm pretty certain they're drunk. But there are some people who
good
are even though they're really drunk, they sing well.
Yeah.
Like it basically shows their natural hidden talent. But then
Yeah.
once they come back to after a hangover, they're like, I didn't know I could sing that.
And the alcohol loosens up the vocal cords,
Yeah.
maybe, So what about you? Do you sing better when you're drunk?
Oh, I don't drink alcohol.
You don't drink-
I'm more of
okay.
a coffee and tea person,
Uh-huh. Very good.
which is
So-
very apparent because I can't afford that right now. I can't afford to have a drinking problem.
That's a good thing, right?
Yeah, really good.
There are many people in this world who would be better off if they couldn't afford to have a drinking problem. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think my only problem, I want my problems to be, man, I can go to this area and then I'm crying inside of a Porsche.
Porsche?
Yeah, Porsche 911.
You want a Porsche? Oh,
I'd rather cry
you
inside
have
of
good taste. Okay, you mentioned Porsche 911.
I'd rather cry inside of a Porsche 911, and I don't care if my makeup is ruined. But so long as I'm inside that car with an influx of money, I'm good.
My God. So up to this point in this interview, I imagined you to be one of these people who doesn't care about money so much.
Yeah, but
They're more into, I don't know, just living a good life and
yeah,
being good to people.
I
and-
mean, it's
but
okay.
now I'm seeing is this another side of you, or is this
Uh,
just a realistic side?
the realistic side, you can't really always hide the realistic
Yeah.
side of life.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I get it that
Right.
it's very acceptable that you want to you want to have a good life, whether you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
money or not.
No,
But
I mean, I say that, but I'm totally with you. I would love to have a Porsche 911. Actually, I had a Porsche 944,
oh, that's good.
and then I also had a Porsche 944 Turbo.
Ooh.
And at the time, I had two of them at the same time. And then at the time, my dream was to get a 911, but that never actually happened.
Yeah, which is like, and I just recall like looking through the articles because the reason why I started liking like the Porsche 911 is because even though it's a lot of people say it's a very feminine design. It's a very feminine. It looks very feminine, like German engineering at its
Interesting.
finest. And but then I also recall the
know-
90s Japanese, like the 90s underground racing in Japan. That's
Oh,
one of
I
the
don't
reasons
know
why I
that.
got into it.
Oh,
And I would pretty much
Wow.
drive a Porsche 911 if I could drive, or
Wow.
a Sup, or maybe not a Supra, but maybe
I
a
wish
Mazda
I-
RX-7.
I wish I had ended up getting a Porsche 911, and I wish I had it here because I would love to let you drive it. But
Man, I don't
sadly,
think-
I don't have it.
Man, I'd rather not you give me the keys because I might crash the car. The only thing
Right.
I'm good at is overspeeding.
Oh,
No joke. And I don't even have my license. So
Oh,
I'm
dear.
trying to keep I'm trying to keep myself legal and not
but
have
wait,
any.
you're 22. Why don't you have a license? I guess you just haven't driven much.
One of the reasons why is that I can't really, I don't have a car to start driving
Yeah,
on.
understood.
And
Yeah, so you need to practice.
I need
Yeah.
to practice, and I can't really afford driving lessons with my
You say your
current-
boyfriend has a car there, doesn't he?
He's a car guy.
Does he
And
let you drive his car?
no,
Oh,
I told him at some point that
that's a red flag, no?
no, it's
No,
just
I'm
like
just kidding. He just likes to.
no. The thing is, I feel he has a very reasonable he has a reasonable point when he pointed out that I can't drive.
Yeah.
He can't. I
yeah.
can't drive. Sorry, I can't drive because I
Oh.
don't know like the basic traffic laws.
Right.
No, because the
Those
first
are easily learned, right? You can read a book. And
I can read a
those.
book. I can like open a book
You're a
on.
studious person. You can read a book.
I'm
right?
pretty sure because all the books I used to have because my aunt went to San Carlos University.
Uh-huh.
I would remember these thick encyclopedias lying around my house, like lying around the house, and I was like around 5 years old,
Mm-hmm.
or no, around 3 or 5. I was basically a toddler. I didn't know how to read. I don't understand the concept of what was written right in front of me because these were for college or for a PhD level.
Yeah.
I would remember just grabbing a book, even though I can't carry it. I would just put it down on the ground and open a random page, and I would I would start blurting random words like, "Oh, this is a snake.
Oh.
This is
Oh.
a giraffe.
You
this
actually
is
recognized words or
yeah, like
pictures? Words.
pictures and words." Because I remember, I always love reading,
Would
even
you say
though
you're very bright? Or you're
in
modest
terms
as
of
well?
academics,
Yeah.
maybe 50-50.
I think you're very modest.
Yeah, I'm very modest.
Yeah.
Even though I know a lot of topics, like when I meet people and I get to talk about any topic at hand,
Yeah.
my favorite topics have to be related to philosophy, debates. I used to be part of my university's debate society until I had to leave for multiple reasons because I just lost the motivation to continue.
You're winning all the debates, so they forced
No.
you to leave. So
No, I'm not winning the debates. I'm actually, I remember going to a debate competition without any specified, specialized training.
Mhm.
And I only remember like reading so many articles. That's why I'm pretty much aware of a lot of people would say politically correct terms, which would be, it would be a proper term when you're, discussing with people because it's a very controversial topic. Even though the Philippines it's more fun in the Philippines, or we love the Philippines more,
Yep.
we only tolerate. We don't accept you wholeheartedly, but we tolerate. That's the majority of the older generation. When you're dealing with,
So we're talking about transgender
Yeah,
here, right?
or
So you're saying older
let's
people don't
say-
accept.
yeah, the non-conformity, because they're in society we conform to what is the stated as the well, it's norm. We follow what is expected of us, like especially the traditional aspect of it. But in the with it's now 2024. I think a lot of people would be much more open to express themselves wholeheartedly. In my university, we are very open. We try to be inclusive. We try to be inclusive, but at the same time, I'm pretty certain like there are some people, whether it's in my school, in my university, or basically in around us. I'm pretty certain an average Filipino would likely tolerate you. It's basically three things: tolerance, acceptance, or complete disregard. That's it.
Oh,
Which is, I think it's a normal thing, but at the same time, like,
when you say complete disregard, you mean just kind of ignore that it's happening, or just be totally tolerant and just treat everyone exactly the same, not even care?
When you're perceiving it in the Philippines, it's more of a. I normally know them as comedians. If you notice it, if you watch, comedians.
Comedians, yeah.
They're normally comedians. Like one of them is like, one from Manila is called Vice Ganda. I think she's a comedian.
Yeah.
And a lot of people seem to accept her. But if it's like an ordinary person that doesn't have any social standing, when like, an ordinary person working on a 9 to 5 job.
Yep.
He's like, okay, why? It's more of a, okay, why? It's like a common observation.
Have you heard of the Taylor Sheesh?
Oh yeah, but I'm not really, sadly, I'm not the person who would follow the Philippine media more.
Yeah. Well, me neither, but Taylor Swift is so big in the news these days that this Taylor Sheesh character is also
Taylor
appeared.
Sheesh. I'm pretty certain that Taylor Sheesh was. I'm told that Taylor Sheesh was only present because she could give the cheaper, like a good affordable Eras tour.
Oh yeah.
Like a replica of the Eras tour, and I'm pretty certain like a lot of Swifties would want to go to the Eras tour.
Yeah.
And not everyone can afford it, especially those from the Philippines.
Oh my God, they're crazy prices, right?
Yeah, it's a crazy prices, man. Like, I just want to afford good things, like good fruits, medication. But looking at
and
the price,
Porsche 911. Don't forget the Porsche 911.
yeah, support a good Porsche 911, and maybe a reason to start driving in the Nuremberg
Oh, the Nürburgring.
Yeah, Nürburgring.
Hey, wow.
I want that.
I am so impressed by your knowledge of motorsports.
Like the motorsport.
International motorsports, Wow. So if I were to offer you a choice, you can have a 911 or a Ferrari something 308 maybe. Which you're going to pick?
I'm going for a Porsche.
You're going to have a Porsche? Yeah. Okay.
I think when
for reliability.
Reliability, and also like, I like a cute car, but then it could bite you in a race. Like, it's like the unsuspecting ones that make it happen.
The older 911s especially are typically very tail happy.
Tail happy, and then
swings out very easily.
I remember like playing a racing game where I was able to it was like a simulation game. I could recall modifying the car and seeing the actual results of it. Like what happens if I adjust this kind, I adjust this, and I add this tires, I add this modification to the engine, stuff like that. And then the simulation ended up giving me a very smooth sailing but fast 911, and that I just love it every day.
Oh, cool. On that note, I think we'd better wrap this up, as we're talking for way longer probably than these people want to hear, but hopefully they're still listening.
Yeah, hopefully. But
so remind me of your name, because I didn't quite catch it.
My name is Shaila Villagonzalo.
Shaila.
Yeah, but a lot of people call me Shy for short.
Shy.
Like as in, I am very shy.
She's very shy. You think she's very shy? Yeah, I don't.
Very talkative and shy. A double-edged sword.
An interesting combination, yeah. Talkative and shy, yeah. Very interesting.
Give me a good topic to start. I might as well entertain you for the next 3 hours. I hope you can have that
Okay,
tolerance.
well, if this video gets more than 500 views, you have to come back for part 2. Is that a deal?
500 views? Why not make it a challenge and make it 1,000?
Okay, 1,000 views. We should make it, no, I've got a better idea. We're going to make it 911 views.
Like basically to be in honor of the Porsche 911 guys.
Exactly, yeah. If we get 911 views, Shai will come back for a second. Well, I'm hoping she will.
And maybe I can tell you about my current life.
Yeah,
In
because we hardly
a vague
touch.
way, because I don't need people to show up at my house.
Yeah. No, we will not. What's the word? Dox. You know
We're
that
not
word?
doxing here, guys. Like,
No doxing.
no doxing.
If you don't know what
suspicious.
doxing is, go look it up.
No doxing. Like, if you wanna commit a crime, make sure to hide it. Don't take my word for it. I've known suspicious information because of my bookworm habits.
Okay, yeah. We have lots to talk about, folks. All right. Over and out. Anything else you want to add before we cut?
Before we
You have
cut-
30 seconds.
No, man. 30 seconds is such a quick time. Hopefully you guys are doing great out there. Whether you're from the Philippines or out. And maybe, just maybe, don't forget to drink water. And be healthy, because the season today is not great, guys. It's not it.
Great advice from the youth of today. Talk later.
See ya.
Over and out.
Actually, I'm fine. Because yeah, it's yours. Mine was the function.
People do this. You know what that is?
Oh, it's like the classic time jump.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's maybe if I need to synchronize the two cameras
Okay.
later based on the sound.